Welcome to the Family Bible Journey. Every time you listen, you are a blessing and encouragement to us as we seek to leave the legacy of faith as we journey and journal through the Bible. So thanks for listening. This is episode 281, season 1 of the Family Bible Journey Old Testament podcast. Today looking at Job chapters 6 and 7. The title of today's podcast is Fleeting Relief. And our key verses for today are all of chapter 7. Where we read, Job said, "Has not man a hard service on earth? And are not his days like the days of a hired hand? Like a slave who longs for the shadow, and like a hired hand who looks for his wages. So I am allotted months of emptiness, and nights of misery are apportioned to me. When I lie down, I say, when shall I arise? But the night is long, and I am full of tossing till the dawn. My flesh is clothed with worms and dirt. My skin hardens, then breaks out afresh. My days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle, and come to their end without hope. Remember that my life is a breath. My eye will never again see good. The eye of him who sees me will behold me no more. While your eyes are on me, I shall be gone. As the cloud fades and vanishes, so he who goes down to Sheol does not come up. He returns no more to his house, nor does his place know him any more. Therefore I will not restrain my mouth. I will speak in the anguish of my spirit. I will complain in the bitterness of my soul. Am I the sea, or a sea monster, that you set guard over me? When I say my bed will comfort me and my couch will ease my complaint, then you scare me with dreams and terrify me with visions, so that I would choose strangling and death rather than my bones. I loathe my life. I would not live forever. Leave me alone, for my days are a breath. What is man that you make so much of him, and that you set your heart on him, visit him every morning, and test him every moment? How long will you not look away from me, nor leave me alone till I swallow my spit? If I sin, what do I do to you, you watcher of mankind? Why have you made me your mark? Why have I become a burden to you? Why do you not pardon my transgression and take away my iniquity? For now I shall lie in the earth, and you will seek me, but I shall not be. This is the word of the Lord." These are very dark and hard words uttered to us by Job. And sadly, what he expresses here in these verses is a feeling that is all too common to many. Throughout chapters 6 and 7, Job says in a variety of ways that he wishes he was dead over receiving the lot that God had given to him. I do have a couple of notes here on chapter 6, which we did not read as a part of our key verses. On chapter 6, verse 9, my note says, sadly, sometimes people feel they'd be better off dead. And this is a feeling that is very common today, and it really baffles many people because we live in what is the most prosperous society of all times, the wealthiest, the most influential, the most affluent, the most comfortable. We have amenities that we take for granted that people of old could have never even dreamt of or imagined. And yet, mental illness, loneliness, anxiety, and depression are at record levels. How can this be? Well, my uneducated opinion on this matter is that maybe we have it too good. Maybe we've sought too much comfort in our earthly blessings. Maybe we have put too much faith in worldly wealth and worldly means, so that when these things of the earth are taken away from us, and not only actual things anymore, virtual things, fake things are removed from us, that we just can't seem to function anymore. And so we suffer, and we rot, and we waste away, as Job did. Job felt the heavy hand of the Lord upon him. He knew what it was to suffer. He knew what it was to suffer for no apparent reason. And his friends, his so-called and supposed friends, when they come to spend time with him, they, in many ways, exacerbate his suffering by blaming him for the lot that he had received from the Lord. And in chapter 7, we see some really difficult things described for Job that are commonplace for many who are suffering either with mental illness or sometimes anxiety or depression. My note on chapter 7, verse 4 says he can't sleep. And my note on chapter 7, verse 14 say nightmares haunt him. And if you have ever experienced the tremendous burden of trying to sleep only to be awakened by recurring and recessant nightmares, you know exactly how Job feels in this passage. On the one hand, he wants nothing more than to sleep. But on the other hand, when he gets a chance to sleep and he closes his eyes, he finds out that the terrors that assault him by night are in many ways worse and more awful than what he feels in his flesh during the day. And this is sadly a common experience for many who are suffering in the ways that Job suffered. And at the tail end of chapter 7, Job says that he feels like he's being punished. Why do you not pardon my transgression and take away my iniquity, is what he says to God, because he feels that he has in his own flesh received the due for his unjust deeds, punishment for his sin, which is something that we are often tempted to think as God's people when we are suffering for any reason. What have I done to deserve this? Why, oh God, am I suffering like this? So in these chapters, Job is giving words to many unpleasant feelings that are experienced by those who are suffering. And so in these passages, we can find comfort in knowing that we are not alone when we are assailed by such dark thoughts. And when we are the ones who are suffering, whether it be because of something that we've done or simply because we live as a part of a broken world where sin and suffering are unfortunately the norm. A big thank you to all of you whose financial support makes this podcast work. As many of our listeners know, I receive zero compensation for this podcast. However, as the podcast has now grown to touch people in over 40 states and over 24 countries, it has become very helpful to have a trusty assistant in the form of a college intern to edit and produce the podcasts for us. So if you would like to see even more of the Family Bible Journey or podcasts like it, please go to the website, familybiblejourney.com, where you can make a tax-deductible contribution to our work and bless others as we share this journey of journaling through the Bible together. Our blessing for today. When you are restless and cannot sleep, may God comfort you with the reassurance of his love. Amen.